All right, guys, it's another Thursday, and you are watching live at 9:45 with me, your host, Adam VanOrd from VanOrd Customs. If you are new to this show, you are tuning in to a live question answer interview type of series that I have going on, where every week I interview someone influential, new, different, doing something cool, or just representing our hobby in a positive light, and shed some light on that person because they're doing great things and I feel that they deserve that recognition. So let's talk a little bit of housekeeping stuff before I get things fired up, and let me do a shameless plug for myself very quickly and talk about some of that stuff. So first off, if you haven't checked out my website, please head on over to VanOrdCustoms.com after the show is over and check out what I have to offer. I have scale garage backdrops, scale license plates, some course markers. If you ended up at East Coast Scale Challenge or saw any of the pictures, all the gate markers there were provided by me. So if you think they look cool, I am the place where you can get them. Additionally, a couple of other things that we have going on as the show happens, or other places where you can find me. First off, you can find me on Facebook at VanOrd Customs. You can find me on Instagram at VanOrd_Customs, and over on YouTube at VanOrd Customs. And I highly recommend you go over there and check it out. All of the previous videos in this series that has been going pretty much weekly since January, I believe, are all uploaded over there on YouTube, minus the last two. They will get uploaded. School just started and I've had a lot going on with that, so haven't had as much time to do RC stuff, and therefore those haven't been uploaded. Additionally, with all these people logging in and tuning in and checking things out, I just want to remind everybody to please keep things PG. I would greatly appreciate it if you've read my pinned post. You know why, and you know that I appreciate all of that. Please feel free to comment amongst one another, ask questions along the way. I will do my best to incorporate them in what we have going on. I might miss one or two here and there. I will go back and answer them later via messaging, but the idea here is to try and address any of the questions you have live on the show, and I can get Steve to answer them while he's on. Additionally, if you're watching on YouTube at a later date, you can also post stuff up and I will do my absolute best to answer it or find a way to get that answer from Steve. So, without further ado, I'm going to talk about who I'm bringing on tonight. I'm bringing on Steve Martin, and so I chose Steve because he sent me a message and it said simply, hey, check out my Facebook page, my website, and I see you're offering events around the area. Would you be willing to have them listed on there? Play the banjo, I don't know. Would he be able to, sorry, I got off track. Would you mind listing the comp on my site so that other people can find it? And I thought, man, that's a really good idea. And my whole idea here when picking people for the show or whatever is to try and find people who are doing good things in the hobby. And I can't think of anything better than trying to provide one unified place to find comps. Because if you're anything like me, you know that finding competitions within your region, within the country, is a maze of going from group to group all over Facebook or on the forums or wherever you're looking for them, and sometimes they're hard to find. So Steve is doing this amazing thing where he's trying to put them all in one place, and we'll talk about that as I bring him on. I know he's in here, so let me get him fired up and we'll get this whole interview up and running. All right, perfect. Adding him, check my audio levels, and we'll be good to go. So, hey, how's it going? Oh, I'm quiet. Hold on.
Yep, I can barely hear you.
Oh, you can barely hear me.
Yep. Let me turn up mine. Hold on.
I was gonna say, you were quiet for me, so I didn't know. But am I better?
All right. Yep, better now.
Okay, now you're too loud for me. I don't know what's going on here. I never get that right. There's nothing I can ever do. Like one time ever, that's all I've ever gotten it right. So, hi Steve, how's it going tonight? Let's get this thing fired up. I'm just gonna hit you right off the bat and tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. My name is Steve Martin. I am 44 years old. I live in Northern Illinois. I have my own computer business there. I have an amazing wife of 10 plus years. Not sure the actual numbers at all, so 10 plus is good enough for me. I have 4 good kids and a credit card for RCs.
Nice.
That's
Awesome.
about it.
All right. How long have you been in the RC hobby in general? And then I know you didn't start with crawling, so I'm gonna shift and say how long have you been in that part of it as well?
Okay. I started racing RCs back in '86 for a little while. Um, Probably at one summer. That was about it. Took a long time off. Then about 11 years ago, my son wanted to get a nitro truck, and so of course we got a nitro truck. We got 5 nitro trucks, 8 nitro trucks. Realized they're a lot of work. Traded all those in and went off-road racing with short course electric vehicles.
There you go.
Did that for about 5 or 6 years, and then got into crawling about 3.5 years ago.
All right.
Sold everything else, and I just have crawlers. That's it.
Yeah. So every time I get a fast truck, I have a lot of fun for a short period of time, and then I'm ready to go slow again. I don't know.
It's just I think I lost the desire to go fast. It's too much. It's too much of a risk. You hit something, you hit a mailbox at home or a curb, it's destroyed. And it's no fun.
We got to keep one because sometimes it's fun to destroy them. So big jumps are always a blast.
Yeah, it's true.
uh, what or who got you into the hobby initially? So like the reemergence you said came from family and your son was interested, and so it kind of sparked
Right.
back up. But what was the initial thing that really fired it up?
My grandpa actually, we spent a lot of time together when I was younger, and I believe the story went. He asked my grandma if he could race RC cars. She laughed and said no. Okay, how about the grandson? And so then he got me the first car, and that's kind of what got me into the whole thing right there. So Grandpa wanted to play, and I was a scapegoat for it.
That's perfect. I mean, I will keep that in mind for when someone tells me no, and I can then ease it off onto Gunner, my son.
Another avenue. You got kids. The kid needs this. I mean, the kid has to have this.
I mean,
it's not for me.
He has 2 like 1/10 scale crawlers, one of which is not done yet, and he has 2 like 1/24 scale trucks, an ambush and a little short course truck that he bombs around the house with. So he has almost as many as I do. But
The calculation is what you have plus 1. That's how many you need. That's the simple part of math.
Yeah, until you get a bunch of parts sitting around, and then you just have projects everywhere. That's my problem.
Yeah, I got that too.
Yeah. So what was your what was your first hobby grade RC? And so your initial one, and then I want to know the crawler one too, just for my own reference. So
All right. My very first RC car ever was a Bolink carpet car. I remember very little about it. I remember it was a Bolink. That's all I really remember. But as I got older, I bought my first lunchbox. Had that for a while. To me, a lunchbox. That as far as a crawler goes, my very first one was a Wraith. I had that for about an hour and a half. Got rid of it, and they got an SCX-10 instead.
All right.
And I actually have I had the thought of the first one. My first SCX-10 isn't no longer nothing resembling a stock SCX-10 at all, but the parts have all went to what I have now. So
right, you sound a little like me. So there are parts of my first truck in probably almost every one of my trucks. It just kind of did its thing and separated itself out and what have you. So
right, gotta keep it.
Yeah, I have a hard time selling things. Okay, so if you weren't in RC, what do you think your hobby of choice would be?
Well, in my time between RCs and not RC, my oldest son raced at the local short track. So we did that together. I was a wallet, he was a driver.
Yeah.
Now he's older, he does full-size drifting. So I think if I wasn't into RC, I'd probably be beside him, again, being the wallet for drifting, not actually doing it myself.
Yeah. No,
So
drifting
probably being that.
pretty awesome.
It's really expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't doubt that one bit. Not even a little bit that it's really expensive. So I feel like you just burn through the tires or something.
On a good practice day, I think it's 6 sets he goes through.
Oh my gosh. Crazy.
You're right.
So referencing all of you people out there in internet land who are tuned in and watching this, whether it is live right now or over on YouTube when I kick it over there, if you weren't in RC, what would be your hobby of choice? So post those up. Those are always a good entertaining read while we're answering questions, and then later on, and it kind of sparks some stuff that's going on. But Steve, I'm going to take you and head you towards, are you a big tire fan or a small tire fan? And tell me why.
If you mean big tires as in a 1.9, I love them. You know, a 1.9 XL is about, I don't do 2.2s, even though I know XLs are about as big as a 2.2, I get that part of it. But like a 2.2 or a Wraith climbs too easy. It's more of a rock racer or comp style rigs, and I want more scale looking. So most of my tires are a 1.9. I do have one 1.55 tire, but I like the smaller tires or the larger 1.9 tires.
Yeah.
So both.
All right. Yeah, I can't blame you. I mean, feel like there's something around for everything. The next one's
Right.
along those same lines. So are you a brush guy or brushless, and why?
Yes. I have both. My go-to is a Castle brushless system on my bus. That's when I grab for most of my stuff. And anything that I borrow out is always brushed. My scaled trucks are always brushed because I don't need that much power to scale truck, really.
Yeah.
So my scales are always brushed, and the ones I loan out are brushed. But if I'm driving it every day, I like the power of brushless.
So you just said something interesting, and it's not at all on the script of questions that I gave you, but you just said the trucks you loan out. So can you elaborate a little bit on that? Like, do you have a bunch of them? Do you have one? Like tell me a little bit about loaning out some of these trucks.
1, 2, 3, 4. Whenever I go crawling, I always bring my crawler, a backup for me, then I bring at least 2, if not 5, spare trucks. Many times in our local crawls we go to, kids are walking, parents are walking out hiking, and they stop and watch us for a while. So I always offer, hey, do you want to drive a truck? You know, and some say no, some grab their kids and run, others say yes. Good example, last year, it was a dad and 3 boys came out there, and I think it was me and 2 other guys. Between us, we had enough trucks that all 3 of them actually went out and crawled the whole day with us.
That's awesome.
Left there, went to our local hobby town, they all bought brand new trucks.
Awesome.
So, I mean, it's once you get that hook in you, you know, just set a little bit, it's off from there. I mean, once you do it, it's a blast. The hardest part is getting someone to try it because it's so slow, it's boring. Once they try it, they get hooked in it.
Right, and I tend to agree with you. Anytime I've been able to put the controller in someone's hand, usually they love it. Whether that means they go out and buy one or not, they still usually love it. And so I think it's awesome. Right. That's why when you said loaner trucks, I was like, I need to hear more, because I think I have a ton of trucks sitting around. If I was doing more of that, or other people were doing more of that, that would be helpful and beneficial as well. We've always had.
I'm very fortunate in our local group. In our local group, almost everybody brings an extra truck.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, we could have 15 guys on the trails and 30 more trucks and the cars in the parking lot waiting to be used.
Yeah.
It's pretty common in our area.
That's awesome. Yeah, I guess I never really thought of it in that manner, but that's amazing. Props to all of you guys for sure. Do you compete in competitions? And if so, what is your favorite style of competition? I know you're creating like this database of competitions, but I'm curious if you compete, and which type do you like the most?
Well, compete isn't really a word I use. I go there, I smile, I hang out with people, I have fun, and I drive.
Yeah.
If they let me, I mark DNF on my card to get right from the start. If they don't let me, then I'll do 4 or 5 hogs between gate 1 and 2 just to get it out of the way. And because it's all about the fun for me. It's never about the score. I don't care to score. To me, it's a hassle to have to score or have someone else score me. Just let me drive. Let me have fun.
Yeah.
So I mean, I go to them. You know, I've been to K&K the last 2 years in a row. I went to a couple local comps around here, but it's kind of funny. Locally, when I come there, they always give me the card, we mark DNF, I hand it right back to them. You know, it's just, and I end up having more of a group come with me, which it used to just be me, but now it's me and like 8 people who do DNF and hand cards back. You know, and it's more fun. So I go to them, I participate in them, I support them 100%, but I don't compete in the sense of keeping a score and really caring about the score.
Yeah, that's a totally interesting concept to me, and I think it'd be a hard one for me. I have a competitive nature, and so like what really got me driven in all of this stuff was to compete and to give it up completely and just be like, no, I'm good. I don't know that I'll ever get there, but I've relaxed a little bit over the course of the last year. Um,
It makes crawling a lot different beast when you don't. It's more of every run's a fun run. Every run's a group of your friends going out driving in the woods. Hey,
right.
look at this, try this. It makes it better. Just you have flags now, you have gates.
Yeah. Interesting. I like it. All right, so let's begin talking about first off what you contacted me about. So I know you've been working hard trying to compile this like big list of competitions, get-togethers from all over the U.S. and I believe even are you stretching outside of the U.S. now? And
Yep,
so
I have Europe in there, Australia in there as well.
yeah, so what drove you to create this list? Like, what's the story behind that?
When I came into crawling, I got out of racing. I had 5 years of racing, and I was in charge of the website there, in charge of helping doing scheduling there. And so when you're off-road racing, at least in our area, you knew all the tracks. You knew where they're all at. And one promoter would call the next one, hey, do you have races this weekend? Yes, no. And you work out your schedule that way. So it made it easier because you're all grabbing from the same pool. There's, 300 racers here
Yeah.
locally. They all can't be at every event all the time. So you have to spread them out. Crawling, I got my rig. I went out. I knew you could crawl in the park, crawl anywhere, but I didn't know where to crawl. There's nowhere I can go to say, hey, where do I crawl? How do I go here? What's around me? So that was my driving force initially, was just to map locations to go crawling. So a section
Okay.
of my site, for locations, you can go there, you can search for your area and see what's going on in your area as far as locations to go. Is it wet? Is it not wet? Is there a hobby shop by? That's what all started it. Then eventually, I started putting my own events on there. And then
Yeah.
from my events went to surrounding events, to events 2 states over. And it's kind of blown up from there, just because people are going there and liking it. They're looking at it, for the simple
Right.
fact of knowing where they're going to go, what they're going to do when they get there. So it
Yeah.
kind of snowballed.
Yeah, and I like it. See, I like that they're all going to be in one spot. Like, so if you're lucky enough to stumble across the Facebook groups that are in your area, you're still going to have to monitor what? Like, I'm trying to think about my area and the area where I would compete. I think I have to monitor like 6, 7, 8 groups to figure out exactly when everything would be going on. And so as a host, when I was scheduling events, I'd have to go through all of their stuff and then match my schedule and try not to overlap the best I possibly could, if it
Right.
if I could avoid it. And um, eventually, if people catch on and they're catching on, if people begin to do all of that, it will make it easier for hosts, but it'll make it easier for people who want to go to stuff too, because I mean,
Right.
technically, if you get on yours, you should be able to find an event every weekend, I would think. Multiple events every weekend.
Yeah, I think right now I have 85 events listed on there, and up until now, until I think I got a couple like in mid-January, mid-February already listed on there.
Yeah.
So I mean,
So,
there's multiple events every weekend.
yep. And so it's just a great resource to go and find all of that stuff. When you started it, though, did you realize that it would be as big of a task as it's turning out to be?
I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I really didn't plan on spending 1 to 3 hours a day trying to track down all these events.
Yeah.
That's isn't what I thought it would be. I belong to 90 RC groups. And so of those 90 groups I belong to, I'm going through those every day. Every morning is my cup of coffee and searching groups to find events that I may have missed.
Yeah.
So
That's some serious commitment, man. I give you mad props for that commitment because that's a lot of work. So
but it's fun.
I feel like that's something you just tell yourself to keep going.
Maybe.
Well, whatever. We're on the road now. We're gonna do it. So
Can't stop now.
that's yeah, man. So what is the biggest challenge that you have faced so far in trying to create this database of places to go do meetups, comps, events, you name it?
Facebook in general and groups. I mean, you have public groups, private groups, closed groups. Well, for me to get the database or you're something to my database, it has to be a public and open group. If you have a private group or a closed group, I can't share it. I can't absorb it. I can't display it. I can't do none of that stuff at all. And
Yeah.
getting people to realize that having an open group, if nothing else, just for the events, is beneficial.
Yep.
And to actually make a Facebook event. Not, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that have amazing events, but they set up as a group page. The event's an actual whole page. It's not an actual Facebook event.
Yep.
I can't import a whole entire page.
Right.
So getting people to realize, to make it public or open, or do it from yourself if you need to make it public or open. And if you have a Facebook group page, for your event, actually put an event inside that group page so that can go as well.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So Facebook has like a whole host of challenges, and you and I talked about it last night when we did our test. It feels like they change their procedures, the way they do things every week. And so to stay on top of that alone is a big enough challenge, let alone all the other stuff that's going on. And I understand how that could be really frustrating for sure. So so basically
Thanks,
what you're
Facebook.
saying is, right, thank you, Facebook. We appreciate you so much. But without it, we wouldn't be doing this. So I mean,
right. Okay. Thank you, Facebook.
So basically what you're saying is an open group is better because you can share it more easily. Make a Facebook event because Facebook events are shareable, and the best way to access the most amount of people is through those two avenues. And then if you can get it to you, especially, then you have an even wider audience to get it to.
Correct. I mean, with my full-time business, with my websites, my site gets spidered, of course, every day by Google, Yahoo, and Bing. So if you go in there, once it's listed on there, you have 48 hours, and it's in the search engines on Google and Yahoo and Bing and all that stuff like that. And so it makes it searchable online, not just on Facebook.
Right.
Because Facebook itself limits, if you search for a rock crawling event, you're going to see the ones that your friends are going to or your friends liked. You're not going to see something from Bob over in Florida, even though you may be vacationing in Florida that week. You're not going to see it unless you already belong to that group and your Facebook friends have posted about it.
Right.
So Facebook limits a lot of the reach, basically all the new privacy laws they have going on. They really limit all the reaches to you. I mean, it's still a great tool, but they limit a lot of things. And so what I do is I get it viewable outside of Facebook. So even someone who doesn't have a Facebook account, who doesn't want to be on Facebook, hates social media, they can still see it.
All right. That works for me, and what you're doing is working, and it's growing, and it's getting better, and that's awesome. So I scanned a little bit about how do you seek out the events, but so you were literally sitting down every morning and going through like all of the groups, checking over, seeing what's going on.
Yeah, I have some sent to me. Some people do send them my way. So I don't want to say that I'm doing it all in that sense. I still get a lot. I get more and more sent to me every week versus a year ago. I started this almost 3 years ago. Yeah. But I get more and more sent to me, but I still have to go search because there's more than 80 events in the next 5 months. There's way more than that. So I double check, and there's times where I'll look and I'll try to add the same event 4 times, and I realize, oh, it's already in my database. That's why I can't add it now. But it's all right.
So if you were going to talk to one of the people out there, like if you were talking to people right now and saying like, what would help you to make this process easier, what would you tell them to do?
Start with a public or open group for your local area. That's to start with right there. When you get the event all made up, put an actual address in there. Because if you put Bob's house or the shack down the corner of the road, when it comes down to that being mapped, it's not going to know where that's at. Right. When you get all that done, send me a link to my page, RC Rock Crawl. Go to my Facebook page, or I have a contact form on my website. Send me the link. Or if you want to be super easy, if you add RC Rock Crawl as a co-host, it adds itself in 3 hours.
Huh.
So
that's awesome.
Super easy then.
Yeah, super easy. So people who are creating events just add RC Rock Crawl as a co-host, and boom, done. Everybody's got it the easiest. We make Steve's job easier, and everybody else can access your event, and everybody's working together. So,
you know, some people got worried that I was like duplicating their event, and with me having it listed, it's not duplicating it. It's your event still. It's you have all the questions and answers. It goes to your event. It's just an avenue they click to get to you. It's all it truly is.
So it's basically a link back to where the real event is scheduled.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, and that's awesome. I can see that being a huge, effective tool to help kind of connect all these people. GPS coordinates is the question I just got. I don't know if that's 100% necessary. But it could work.
If there's no address, you can put in GPS because Google Maps will decipher it automatically. And so that works as well. Do a pen drop.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So we've talked about all of that, and that was the main thing that I really wanted to hit on really heavy was this, because you've put a lot of time and effort into it. I'm seeing the how it's turning around and really working for you, and how it could be super beneficial. But now I want to talk a little bit about some of the other stuff that's going on. So you have trucks sitting behind you on the shelf, and they're all up there. Yep. Everybody's like, oh man, let's see some trucks. I know they are. Can you share any of your rigs with the viewers? Maybe like one or two, maybe, I don't know, some of your favorites.
This is what I'm working on still right now. This is my Stranger Things Blazer. Still got a lot of work to do to it still. This was actually, my son likes the show. I like the show, so I kind of built this. So this is one of the rigs right there. I've never driven it except for the dirt at K&K. I drove it around there to show the guy at RC Four-Wheel Drive. That's the most that's ever been driven. My go-to.
Wait, I have a question about
is my Prism.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so we're gonna come back to the Prism Bus, but I have a question about the Blazer. So you talked about why you chose it, but what are, like, in order to represent the 1/1 version of it in a small size, why did you choose, like, what was the non-negotiable items that it had to have to make that connection to the show?
I had to have the true paint codes for the factory for this vehicle. I wanted it to be true color codes. And I couldn't believe how hard it was, because with the movie Stranger Things, it happens in 1 year. The Blazer's not the accurate year for it. So the colors are a different year for it. And having to go back to the 1981 GMC municipality only vehicle and got the color codes for that exactly. And since I don't paint, I had to find a paint shop who's willing to paint an RC car, which is very, very hard to do. Luckily, one of my local crawler guys, he works at a paint shop, and him and his buddy took it. And they had, I think he said 5 coats of color on it, and he had to go through and shave all the lines off, because once you get that many coats, nothing will sit. It won't close.
Right.
So he had to do all the body work on it. He had it for, I think, 3 weeks, and he put more hours in it than I would care to count. So I can't take 0 credit for the painting of this vehicle. I didn't do it at all. He did all that. So that was the biggest thing. I wanted to be true, a true color.
Yeah. Nope, that's perfect. That's what I was looking for. And so I think that one of the things that I notice is when people go to build a replica of some kind, a copy, whatever you want to name it, of a actual 1-to-1 vehicle, there's always like one non-negotiable or a couple non-negotiables that they have. And I'm always curious to see what those are. We can bump over to the bus. I've got a bunch of people saying, I want to see the bus. The bus is awesome. All this stuff. Let's talk about this bus.
All right. This is my go-to rig, which started out being a honcho, a 10-1 honcho. There's nothing. Well, actually, no. I'm going to take that back. The body posts are from the original truck. That's it now.
Perfect.
Nothing else at all is from that original truck. All the rust is earned. It's not fake. It's earned rust. This is my go-to truck. This if I go to an event or a comp, this is what I take.
Yeah.
You know, and it's going on what 3 years old for the most part, and it runs great.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
and then yeah, 'cause I think I have 16 total crawlers so far. I believe.
Man, you're beating me by a fair number. So, all right.
Oh, I don't want to be in
I
a
got paused
competition.
for
There's
just a
guys out
second
there with a
on.
lot more.
Oh my
Yep.
gosh, yes. Oh my gosh. So I got paused for a second on what's going on. Guys, we've got like the little bit of like back and forth jumpiness going on, and so it's gonna be a weird request, but I'm gonna request that you don't hit the like stuff, you don't hit the hearts, you don't hit the smiley faces and whatnot. For some reason, that slows down our feed. You can comment till your heart's desire. Hit thumbs up inside of your comments, all of that stuff. I would genuinely appreciate that. I love every comment, every like, but if you start hitting like the smiley faces and the likes and the hearts, for some reason it slows down the live feed and it'll get choppy on us, and I want to kind of try to preserve that, or else your viewing experience won't be as good as it possibly can be. So
Fair enough.
yeah, like I love all that stuff. I wish I could have you guys do it more, but it kills it every
Right.
time.
Facebook can't handle it.
They can't handle the scale. Like that's all there is to it. They can't handle the scale. So
Yep. Shame on them.
let's talk about one of my newest questions that I'm going to try and ask people every week. And so it's one actually that my father came up with. Last week I did like a quick talk about myself thing because I hadn't lined up a guest. And so his question is, what is your dream build, and can you break it down by the components? Like, make your list, build your truck, your metaphorical truck from your mind, and share it with everybody else.
That is really, really, really hard to do. I mean, I know what I like in rigs, but I have scale rigs and trail rigs, and to me, there's no one perfect dream vehicle. It's really going to depend on what you want to do with it. I mean, I have, stock electronics. I have, quick runs, Tekins. I have Castle. I have all the different components depending on which rig I have. I have everything from, stock axles on up to, the beef tubes axles to SSDs. I guess the only for sure thing, any vehicle I drive has to have a reef servo in it, just because I truly love their servos. So that's the one part I can guarantee will be consistent in every vehicle I build, dream build or current build, is it has to have a reef servo in it if I drive it.
Okay.
So I have no answer for a dream build.
Hey, it's hard, and I didn't think about it at all before I tried to answer it, and I think I only hit like 6 or 7 different components, and then kind of after that, you kind of have to massage things into place and make sure it all works. So, yeah, I don't really know. What is one thing that you will never leave off of a scale build?
It has to have a hard body. To me, it needs to have a hard body, and I have to have an engine compartment. To me, that's what makes it a scale build. I mean, you can have an interior. You can buy a stock truck with interiors now. It doesn't mean it's scale. So if you add a hard body to it and do an interior or a engine bay area, that is what I have to have on any scale build I do.
All right, perfect. I find a lot of people have a hard time answering that question too, specifically because people want to put so much on, but like there's always got to be that one thing that you have to have, and perfect answer. People out there who are watching currently live or picking this up on YouTube later, if you would comment with like your one non-negotiable item that you have to have on your build, we would love to see those comments pop up. Steve, I'm coming back to you with the next question, and I like to ask this of people, and there's a hidden agenda behind asking this question. The hidden agenda is to remind people that forums exist. But are you a forum guy or a Facebook guy, and why?
I'm a Facebook guy. Years ago, I used forums when we raced a lot, and it turned into a giant, angry, pissing match back and forth with everybody, and they all had these fake names, and there's no accountability for what you said to somebody.
Gotcha.
You could say whatever you wanted to say, and they had no idea who you were. You could be the guy next door, the guy 3 states over, and they got really brave. and said some pretty bad things. So with Facebook, at least you have a profile. I know who you are. You know,
Right.
I know what kind of person you're going to be by looking at that, because unless you're going to fake the whole world out, you know, which I
Yeah.
guess you could, but to me, it's Facebook. It's more personable. I know the person I'm talking to on a personal level, at least in some way, versus a forum, you're
Yeah.
keyboard warriors, and you can say anything you want to say.
Okay,
So,
that's fair, man. I totally get it. Um, I'd say for me personally right now, I'm a Facebook person strictly based on time. If I want to do anything RC, I can't spend my time leafing through all of the stuff on the forums because once I get in there, I probably would have time if I would do it in moderation. But once I get in there, I just dive head deep and I can't stop. So then I'm just
right.
toast. Um, Let's talk about the next question, and it is if you could change one thing about the scale segment of this hobby, what would it be, and why would you try to make that change?
Well, this is going to skate around your answer in a whole different way. um, I wouldn't change anything about scale itself. I would change the cost of travel. With seeing all these events I list out there, there are so many I want to go to, but financially, it's not possible, you know. And so
Right.
somehow we could get travel costs down a lot lower. So that'd be my one change if I could do it in the whole scale hobby, is to have lower travel costs. Because I want to go to all these events, but I can't.
Yeah, see, I like how you shifted the answer, and it's a good answer, man. If travel came down a lot, I could go to a lot more as well. That'd be great. All right, so you spend a lot of time trying to bring people into this hobby. You're loaning trucks, you're creating a list of events and all of that stuff. So inevitably, you will be getting people coming up to you and asking for advice when they start out. What is
Yep.
your best piece of advice, your main go-to piece of advice that you give out to all these new people who are just starting out, like just got their first truck and they're going to go run?
Um, my biggest thing is tell them is run it before you change anything. Run it bone stock. Get out there and run it how it is. If you're going to change something, change one thing at a time, then run it again. But always remember what it feels like to be new. So a year down the road, 3 years down the road, if somebody asks you a question, take the time and answer them.
Yeah.
I don't, just because you're a veteran now doesn't mean you get to be a jerk to somebody else, because how dare them ask that question, even though you've answered it 500 times already. Answer it again. Just remember what it's like to be new, you know, and that's with any hobby, really. So
Yeah.
just, you know, enjoy it, have fun, take your time. Don't try to change everything at one time, and just remember what it's like to be that new person asking a question.
Right. I love your advice. It very much closely mirrors the things that I tell new people as they enter the hobby, because it's really easy to get caught up and get lost and then spend a bunch of money and be frustrated. So
Mm-hmm.
longevity means be happy along the way and grow slowly.
Yep. With racing, I took my wallet and threw it at my race trucks, and I bought the best of everything I could afford, and I was still a really bad driver. So it did not make me. I crashed faster. That's about it.
Oh, well, you improved something. I mean,
Right.
yeah, not what you were looking for, but you improved something. So,
True. Yep.
so let's talk about who are your influences in the scale crawling community, and if you were picking someone to have on the show, who would you pick and why?
Well, when I started to do scale stuff, I really looked a lot to Brian Almeida from Exclusive RC, with all the
Mm-hmm.
stuff that he has. Just the detail he puts into things he has is, to me, is just mind blowing. I mean, you see my scale garage yesterday on the test feed.
Yep.
You know, I love his stuff. You know, it's phenomenal stuff. So Almeida was a part of me wanting to do scale stuff. Another person who is local to me is Brian Hona from Peoria RC Crawlers. This guy has done amazing stuff here, kind of locally. He got a park to, in theory, donate land for RC crawling.
That's
I
awesome.
mean, it's a huge piece of land they weren't using. So he went there and helped convince them to, let's turn this around, let's do something with it. So, you know, he inspired me a lot to do more things, just because
Hmm.
he did that right there. And I think he'd be another cool person to have on there. Um, and of course, I have to do a little shout out to Brian Parker because, in all fairness and honesty, even though scale started on the coast, it would not have reached as far as fast without somebody being a very big voice in the process.
Yeah.
You know, so he was a big part in getting the news spread coast to coast.
Awesome, man. Great input about the people you're following. Great input about why you think they're doing the things that are helping us in our scale community. Um, Brian Parker's already been on. Unfortunately, like we had all kinds of technical problems. So more than likely, I'll get a hold of Brian again in the future. And so then I'll be looking into the other people as well that you're talking about, and
Okay.
we'll go from there. So hardest question ever for people to answer usually out there that you've seen on the internet, or you've seen it on the forums, or you've seen it in real life in person. What's your favorite build out there that is not your own?
There's so many good builds out there on the internet that I can't pick one. However,
Mm-hmm.
I can pick one that's localish to me because I've had my hands on it, I touched it, felt it, you know,
Right.
and to me that makes a big difference. There's a local builder named Ben here who has an amazing 8x8 and a Unimog. If I could have either one of those, that would gladly be displayed on my wall.
Yeah.
It'd be
That's awesome.
his 8x8 is awesome.
Awesome. So where do you see the scale crawling community heading in the coming years?
I think it's going to get better, and by better I mean more people, more companies, more product, more competition with hardware and supplies and what's out there. We have a really good base on a hobby. I think it can only get better. We are far from being leveled or stagnant by any means, you know. So the more people we get into this, the more talented people out there find products to make that we never knew we could live without. It'll push
Right.
other companies to make better products, and it gives us a consumer more to choose from.
Yeah.
So it just gets bigger and better.
Awesome. So I have to refer to a question that has literally come across the feed. Maybe like 5 or 6 times so far, and so I have to ask
Okay.
you. Apparently you're a foodie, and so I have to ask you what you had for dinner because it's going to be a great answer.
Oh, it was a bad dinner. I had frozen pizza. I was busy today, so not even a good dinner. Sorry, guys.
Oh, delicious! No. So, all right.
Dang, I should have lied.
All right. What can we do? So my next question that I tend to like to ask is, do you currently have any sponsors, and why have you chosen to represent those people while you do your thing?
I am proudly not sponsored by anybody, nor do I desire sponsor. I have nothing against those who are sponsored. I mean, that's amazing, you know.
Yeah.
But to me, this is a hobby, and the minute I have to report to somebody else, to me, it doesn't feel like a hobby anymore. And so
Okay.
I'm sponsored by my wallet. That's about it.
So I feel like a lot of people out there are going to want to know if they can be sponsored by your wallet. Do you want to just clear that up now?
No, 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 no. There's no more wallet left. That wallet's now
Oh.
that wallet's now gone. You know.
All right, perfect. So my next question for you is, what should we expect to see next from you in the future here, what's coming?
Well, you know, tons of smiles. I have a good time doing this. The only thing I've set right now in my near future is finishing up the Blazer. In
Okay.
about 3 weeks, I'm shipping it off to Brian. He's going to do the motor bay for me on there, and then getting hold of Mr. Baskins for the light bar. And that's all I have on my agenda right now. That's it. You know, got a couple of
Awesome.
local events I get to go to, which is amazing. I can't wait to go to those because those who put on events realize when you put on events, you don't get to crawl your events. You know, you're working your events, and so I put on our area, I should say, not I. Our area puts on 4 or 5 events, big events a year, and So I don't get to crawl that much anymore like I want to. So I'm looking forward to these next
Right.
few months to go out and crawling for fun.
Awesome, man. So, is there anything I missed? Anything that you need to get out there before we kind of end this thing? Because I've hit the end of all my questions. So,
Okay. Go to rcrockcrawl.com. If you have any local trails you go to that are open for the public, please don't post your private address at your house. I don't want people showing up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go crawling there, whatever it is. So if you go crawling anywhere that's a public place open, go there. There's a spot to add it. I will add it. You'll get it listed. Someone can search by zip code, city, state. They can drag the map across the world and find places where they're going, which is nice.
yeah.
If you have any events, submit them to my webpage, to my Facebook page. Add me or add RC Rock Crawl as a co-host. Do one of those right there. Let's make the list big. I mean, get it out there because, even from a promoter's standpoint, it's huge to know what's in your area before you plan an event.
Right.
So that helps promoters not have to double book everything, because it's the same pool we're grabbing from, the same amount of people. So why make the people choose if we can help offset it by different weekends? So it helps everybody out. So rcrockcrawl.com, make it happen.
Awesome. So I'm going to repeat that. Go to rcrockcrawl.com and make it happen. Upload your stuff, get it there. Make Steve's life a little easier by giving him the information so he doesn't have to search you out and ask you if he can put you on his page, just to support all of us and give us a way to find your events. So, all right, man, I don't have any more questions for you, so I'm going to let you go, and I just have to say thank you for being on. It was informative, and I genuinely like what you're doing. I hope you keep it up and keep pushing forward, and that I hope this brings you maybe a few more people, and that I hope that some of those people start sending you events so you don't have to work quite so hard to do what you're doing.
Awesome, and thank you for the time. I really appreciate it so much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. All right.
All right.
So,
thank you.
Thank you, and I will let you go, and I'll be talking to you later.
All right.
All right. See ya. Okay. Well, maybe. What just happened?
Maybe.
I don't think anybody's going to let you go. So I'm going to finish the show with, oh, there we go. Perfect. All right. I totally appreciate all the love that's going on over there with all the hearts and the thumbs up and the smiley faces, whatever it is. Very quickly to finish out the show, I'm going to let you guys know that I will not, I repeat, I will not have a live at 9:45 next week. I've said that before and I've thrown one up there, but this time I am not lying. Next week is my birthday and I'm taking the day off. Mainly because I don't want to work and then work again at night. So I won't have another live at 9:45 next week. However, the following week, I have an amazing guest lined up for you that I have not announced yet. So stay tuned, pay attention, and I will be working with that person to get all the information in there and get that announced and uploaded and so on and so forth. I also have some other people who I am currently working with, in talks with, to have them come on the show. And additionally, feel free to join, to send me a message if you know someone who you think should be on the show, if you have a good idea of who you would want to see, or if you yourself feels that you'd be a beneficial guest. I would love to have everybody on the show, ever, and so there's no name too big, no name too small. If you're doing something cool and you're supporting our hobby, I want to talk to you and show it off. Now, back to a couple things about me. I'll close the show and let you guys go. If you were watching over on YouTube, definitely hit that like button. I will absolutely appreciate each and every single like. If you are... I'm sorry, I was reading a comment and it says, unacceptable. Enjoy your birthday. Thank you, Michael Kobetka. So, anyway, back to what I was talking about. If you're on YouTube, please hit that like button. I appreciate it. If you haven't gone to my YouTube channel, go check it out. Like it, follow it. Again, I appreciate that. I will try and upload those as often as I possibly can. with school starting and my work getting a little more hectic and some more responsibilities coming back, that's happening a little slower than it was. Additionally, check out my Instagram, my Facebook, and follow me at those places because I'm always posting cool stuff. And so the last but not least thing that I have to do is thank all you guys for tuning in. It blows me away every week seeing the numbers up there in the corner. And so not last week, the week before at East Coast, I was totally blown away because I did kind of a live show and people were there. And man, when you put faces behind the numbers, it changes the whole perspective. And so each and every one of you guys out there, I truly appreciate you logging on weekly and checking out all these cool people that I am trying to bring to you. Until next time, 2 weeks from now, I'm out of VanOrd. This was live at 9:45, and so without all of you, it's just me talking to a camera, and that is super boring, and no one wants to see it. So keep tuning in, and I'll keep doing what I'm doing. See you guys next time.